Hey there. Welcome, beautiful souls. Thanks for your patience this morning. Namaste. Welcome to my channel. My name is Sadhana. I am an intuitive reader and healer and lover of all things metaphysical. And today I'm here to share with you a continuation of the series, the card comparison series. And I want to let you know that this series is inspired by you, and I invite all of your questions in the chat this morning, as well as for future requests for videos. And I have quite a list of requests, and I'm going to pick away at them one by one and try to group them in themes. So you'll see, if you've looked at my channel and if you look ahead, you can see the upcoming live streams if I've posted the thumbnails already. And so, yes, I've already planned next week, and we'll continue with the theme of judgment next week as well, too. But this week is justice. No, it's not justice. It's temperance and judgment. Justice also figures into this conversation very much, too. So we may bring in justice. But I want to welcome those of you in the chat. Thank you for being here this morning. I see you've been talking amongst yourselves. Hello to Shannon. Welcome to Dancing Soul. Sister Hannah, hello. Yes, Shannon is excited about the live readings. So in the live readings later today, I am going to, over the next 2 weeks, work with the Celtic Cross. And so that means with the live readings for the next 2 weeks, there won't be as many readings, but I'm going to work through, for those of you that are readers, a couple of different ways to work with the Celtic Cross, maybe bring in some new layers of insight. So that is at 12 noon Pacific today. And I want to say hi to Joel. Welcome to Joel. Thanks for being here. Okay. Alrighty. So let's get going with this. And then I know this second card on the right, the judgment card, is one that causes some, I was going to say, consternation with a lot of people. It's quite a tricky card, the way that it's drawn in the RWS. Hello, Jen. Welcome. Thanks for being here. Yes, I decided to wear pink today. I don't usually wear pink, but this little dress, summer dress here, I really like it. And anyway, I'm in pink today. Thanks for noticing, Hannah. What was I going to say? Oh, lost my train of thought. Judgment. I wanted to pull up Sasrabito if I have it. I'll try to find the Sasrabito cards as well, too, because that really goes in a different direction. 3 a.m. here, and you've not slept yet. Oh, my God. Okay, well, you hopefully will fall asleep watching this video, and this will lull you into some deep, peaceful sleep, listening somehow to, to my words. Okay, we have a lot to talk about here. Right? These are two big cards. We talked last week. I can't even remember what we talked about last week. So hopefully we'll just kind of keep weaving this all together. As I was pulling out additional cards to compare and talk and understand the relationship between these two, I just started, there's so many webs to weave with the tarot. And the more you understand the webbing of not only the majors, but the minors as well too, the more you will know what to look for in a reading. Okay, so when you have large spreads, like the Celtic Cross, 10 card spread, 9 cards I use all the time, you start to build in this web, and this web builds relationships, and it kind of leads the story and helps to build the story. And so that's what I want to do today. I want to talk about the relationships, the related cards to all of these, and how we can start to understand them. Okay, so if this is what you want to talk about, be sure to stick around. I'll be around for at least half an hour. And yeah, if you like the content, please make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Okay, so as I was saying, Sasrabito, I've got here Wild Wood and Wild Unknown, and I'm going to pull out Sasrabito if I can find those, because there's kind of some cool cards here that if we have time to. So Judgment and Temperance. Yeah. And what I would suggest you do is the decks that you have on your table right now is to pull out. Hello there, Scott. Welcome. Anybody else that's been strolling in that I missed? Hello, hello. What do I want to say? Yeah, so pull out these cards, Temperance and Judgment. You might want to pull out the cards that come up on either side of it. We'll put the Sun there too, right? Because the Sun kind of illuminates and is the precursor to Judgment. And before Temperance, of course, we have the Devil. The Temperance is such an interesting card, sitting between death and the Devil. Yeah, so that in itself is an interesting 3-card study, right? Death, Temperance, and the Devil. Okay, now I totally forgot what I'm looking for. Justice. Justice in this deck. And then I will get to it if I can find Justice. Okay. No, I'm going to have to go back. Okay, so let's just start with this whole angel thing. Because I think that is one of the reasons. And also we have the Lovers card as well too, right? So what is your relationship with angels? And if you have a strong relationship with angels, angel medicine, perhaps way back when you did the Doreen Virtue, angel therapy kind of training. Maybe that's something that you work with. Maybe you connect with angels and you listen to your angels. Perhaps you have a direct line to the archangels and so forth. So if you're working with a deck that is RWS inspired and has a lot of angels, then go ahead, tap into this medicine. There are mythological associations, angelic associations with each of these angels. And if you want to bring in the medicine of that particular angel, then that's one way to work with these cards. I don't necessarily do that. There's a couple of archangels that I tend to work with, but this is not, I don't tend to mix angelic messages with the tarot, and I don't know why. Maybe that's something that will evolve over time, but I just want to put that out there, that's definitely somewhere you can go with these 2 cards. The angel is doing something quite different in each of these cards. And look at your Temperance card and look to see if the cups are different colors, or if the water changes colors, moving from one cup to the other. If you have more of a Celtic deck, then you're going to have some kind of, perhaps like in the Druid craft, you have a cauldron, and somebody's mixing something in a cauldron. There's lots of different representations of Temperance. Often in Temperance, you're going to see blue and red. Okay, blue is going to be associated with lunar energy, and the red will be associated with solar energy. Okay, so look for these symbols. I still haven't found the card that I'm looking for. Okay, I need to pause. Maybe somebody can just say what Temperance looks like in this deck, because I don't know why I can't find it. Now I'm getting all worked up about it. Okay, I'm just going to put it down. Okay, so in the Temperance card, what is flowing and what is the color of the water? The angels are doing 2 different things. The card on the right, there is a calling. There is a kind of I don't want to say it's a wake up message, because you're already aware that things have been shifted. But what the angel is saying here is that you can no longer not pay attention. It's time. It's time to act. It's time to do something. So the action of the angel is quite different. So in Temperance, what is being inspired is this alchemical, not only alchemical, but also quite practical awareness of the medicine of balance. And you having those 2 cups in your hands and understanding what it means to balance fire and water. what it means to be in control in control in an awoke kind of a way, not in a egoic kind of way, right? In an angelic way, to mix and to balance everything. So one of the things I talk about with this card when it comes up in a reading, Temperance card, is to, for example, look at your plate. Look at what you're eating. And often when we look at the plate, I don't know how many of you rush to make your meals, but if there is a little bit more mindfulness in what is put on the plate, we're looking for balance on the plate. And if we're balancing lunar energy and solar energy, we'll want to have a balance of cooling foods and heating foods. Several of you in the Facebook group this winter, when I opened up that group, I sent out a bunch of calendars that were created by one of my daughter's friends who went to Chinese medicine school with her. And in the School of Chinese Medicine, this alchemical balance of eating is really important, eating for the seasons. In the summer, we don't want to eat a lot of heating foods. We need to be aware of that. And in the winter, we want to have more warming foods. Cooling foods aren't going to serve us and so forth. So this temperance can be quite practical. And I can even go more practical. Like if you think about your mental health, your emotional health, what are you reading? What are you watching? What are you seeing, and what kind of external stimulants are in your life? What kind of music do you listen to? Is there a balance of music that inspires and music that relaxes, right? When we are doing our practices, spiritual practices, do you have practices that get the fire going and practices that are cooling and relaxing? So we don't want to practice, for example, restorative yoga only. We need the fire and the flame to get going, which can be done through certain pranayama practices. It can be done through a fiery active asana practice. You can do an uphill walk every day or a couple of days a week. And you can also do a slow meditative walk with no ups and downs and be very, very mindful, looking at the plants and so forth. Maybe on your uphill walk, you have some inspiring music that keeps you going and keeps you charged and your headphones are blaring. But while you're walking through the forest, there's no headphones. There's no headphones, there's no music, it's just you and nature. And so temperance is about this mindfulness. It's a very active card, right? It's about really choosing this balance in life, okay? Okay, let's go back. I missed a couple of people as they were strolling in. I see Snow Fox is here, but I missed when she came in. There you are. Hello, Snow Fox Tarot. And just make sure that Selena, I'm looking down to my list, Selena, I don't have your name memorized. And if there's anybody else in the chat whose name I don't know, please put it in the chat and I'll write it on my list so I can start to memorize everybody's name. Okay. All right, so that is just a little introduction to my interpretation of that card. And yeah, we will be unwrapping Judgment. Scott, I am doing well. Thank you very much. Yeah, and the web metaphor is so, so great. I am hopefully going to talk more to the web when we get to the Celtic Cross this afternoon. I don't know. Sorry, I'm getting distracted, but I just want to just say this. This is the 10th card in the Wild Unknown Tarot. And I don't know how many of you have ever thought about the circle in the center, right? Those 4 cards in the center, and then the cross in the first 6 cards of the Celtic Cross as in relationship to the Wheel of Fortune. And we're going to talk about that later, but that web, that the wheel is such an important symbol for understanding all of these relationships. Jen has had a connection with angels since she was little, and Archangel Michael is a big presence. Beautiful. Okay, and yes, so in Satsuri Vito, this is judgment, and what I was still looking for was the Temperance card. So hopefully I can find that. If they aren't too art, yes. And you know, a lot of times there's alternate names for these cards as well too, which can help the understanding. And so I want to start with the RWS background, and then we'll move to some other cards. And Scott says, in my Temperance card, one is silver water and the other is gold with fire. So silver represents the moon, right? The moon, and then we have the sun. And one of the things that we can bring into awareness here is that in order, so as we move into talking about this card, we have not only the energy of the sun directly before it, but also the energy of the moon. And there is this, in order to, I'm just going to find the moon card, in order to reach this level, and yes, we don't move necessarily through the major arcana, the hero's journey in chronological order, as the cards appear, but there is a quality. There is a quality of the moon card and the sun card. There is a quality. And so you just have to imagine that the moon card is on the table to the judgment card. So just think about that. We move through the introspective karmic patterns, the things we don't want to see, the challenges of the moon card. And then move into the light. It's very distracting that I can't find these cards today. And then move into the light of the sun, where everything is illuminated. And everything is illuminated. Nothing is hidden. And that can be as challenging as the moon card, where, especially in the full moon, I mean, those, I have really been quite moved by the last few nights, the moon that has been so bright and so full. Sometimes it stirs things up. And so I feel that part of this judgment card is understanding the process of moving through the moon and the sun. And so what Scott was seeing in his card is that the energy in temperance, so those cups in temperance, have a lunar quality and a solar quality. And so this connects the energy of these two cards. They both have that invitation. They both have a certain level of balance between lunar and solar energy. Okay, so hello, Joy of Divination, welcome. Angela, hello, Tiny Trinkets and Tarot. Thanks for being here this morning. Okay, so that, I don't know if you've ever thought about that before, right? So this is one, not only the angels, but this aspect of solar and lunar qualities is part of the experience. Now, where does temperance occur in the septenary pattern? So that 777 pattern, Chariot card, is above. So when we look at 777, there's some kind of a relationship between the Chariot and Temperance. They both finish, they both complete one of those rows, those journeys. And to understand completions, we also need to understand that they initiate a beginning. There's a new opportunity. And so what is the relationship between the Chariot and Temperance? They both get us moving forward to a new level, to a new experience with spirit. Not all tarot card readings, of course, have spiritual interpretation. Some of them are quite mundane, but there is, if you are stuck on this card, one of the questions you can ask yourself is, what is temperance pushing me towards? What is it encouraging me to find, to seek, to attain? And in achieving this balance, in working with this balance, what is going to be illuminated, right? So there's this energy of moving forward. And if we look at judgment, we have a relationship with the Lover's card. So in that 777 septenary, we do have a relationship with the angel, right, of the Lover's card. And what's the difference? The angel is overhead in both of these, but there isn't, if you look at the Lover's card, the angel is behind and the backs of the people are to the angel. There may be an awareness. The angel is almost supporting this energy of love and oneness. The Lover's card I tend to interpret as often a healing within self, to love oneself, to find the masculine in the self, to find the feminine in the self, and to recognize the need for that. And so there's a real beautiful relationship between temperance and the Lover's card. And so we can't separate these energies. And the more that this web is woven in a reading, the more we can start to feel the importance of the theme that is coming through. Okay? Yes. Yes. Oh, Ange is here as well too. Hello to Ange. I'm going to try to find you. Welcome. Welcome, Frank from Quebec. Okay, so let's go back. What is judgment? What is this card? And what does that cross mean? And what is that trumpet about? If you compare cards going back through different judgment cards, not all of them have 6 people in them. Some of the older cards just have 3 people. One of the things I like in this judgment card, so in this, by the way, is a universal weight that was recolorized. So here we have 3 people facing towards us, and then we have 3 people facing towards the angel, which is almost as if these 6 people are in a circle. And if you relate to the energy of the circle, this very nicely leads us into the world card. There is something about we're all in this together. One of the most beautiful teachings of the judgment card, and I really see this as there's a few cards of serious leveling up in the major arcana. This is one of them. And if you can understand, if we can understand that our work, our spiritual journey, our healing, let's use the word healing, I love that. Our healing is not just for ourselves. Our healing affects others in so many ways. I think it is in, it's not Mary Greer's book, it's in Rachel Pollack's book, 78 Degrees of Wisdom. She says something to the effect of, until none of us are free until all slaves are freed. She talks something about that. And this is what I mean. Like we do this work. We do this work for everyone. And if we, and I get this from this circle of people here. They're all with their hands raised. They are understanding and wanting to connect and feel that connection. And there is, I don't know, it's a really, really lovely card. So what is being unwrapped here is fear, for sure. the fear of spiritual enlightenment, or the fear of a new opening, a new aspect of our journey is unraveling. And so what we're releasing is fear. And in most of these cards, there's a lot of naked people, right? And so we take off the clothes, we take off the cloak, and we reveal our inner selves, we reveal our true selves. And you see that, I have the 9, there's something about this 9 of Cups card. This is the XIV Tarot. And there's a really interesting relationship here. I don't know if you've ever looked at these two cards together. So in the 9 of Cups, which is a card of emotional awakening, right? It's an emotion, energy in motion, emotional awakening, being comfortable with our naked bodies, being comfortable with our true self. You'll notice that she has heart, both of her hands, one is on her high heart, one is just below her heart. And we see that she is emerging from a lotus, perhaps, or a rose, the high frequency of a rose. And she is the rose, right? She is the rose, and she recognizes the beauty in that. And so the 9 of Cups is about that emergence. And so in judgment, we need to decide whether we're going to keep that cloak wrapped tight, or we're going to open that cloak and fearlessly, move forward. This is the red pill, blue pill card, right? This is it. You have to decide when this card comes up, whether you're going to stay in illusion, or whether you're going to open your eyes and allow yourself to move in a new way. And it is a scary card for a lot of people, because once we step through that veil, and there's no veil on this card, no veil at all. So let's look at this in relation to the High Priestess. I mean, there's so many beautiful relationships. So in the High Priestess, the veil is there. We can't see what's on the other side of the veil. And in the Judgment card, so right, this is a 2, this is 20. So numerologically, there's this connection. Also, you can do 1 + 1 is 2, because this is this is 10 and 10. 10 and 10, the 10's reduced to 1, so 1 + 1 is 2. No matter how you spin this, there's this really profound relationship here. So we see, or we have a glimpse of what is behind the veil, and we decide if we're going to live that way or not live that way. And the thing is, once you swallow and I forget which one it is. I want to say it's the blue pill, but I think it's the red pill, because I seem to remember that it's the opposite of what I thought it was intuitively. Right, you'd think it was the blue pill because the blue pill is our intuitive side, and the red pill would be the action. But please correct me in the chat if those of you know which is that. This is a matrix reference if you don't know what I'm talking about. So once you choose the truth, once you choose to step through illusion, then we have the World card. Anything can unfold, anything can happen. And so we need to look at the surrounding cards that come up in a reading to see whether there is fear, whether there's any blockages. And this is a really interesting card. If this card comes up in the center of, or any reading where you have a cross, like in the Celtic cross, we're going to do that next, is if there is something blocking judgment, then that can really tell the truth. One of the things you might want to do, so suppose you did a reading and you couldn't understand what judgment represented in the card, you could lay down the judgment card and then shuffle the rest of the deck and say, okay, what is blocking this movement forward? What is blocking? What is crossing judgment? And that's all you do, right? And so you shuffle and try to get clarity on that card, because we want to know what is keeping us back. And for some people, so this is a conversation I had yesterday with I have been having a lot of readings with people, with spouses that are near the end of life lately, and we as caretakers, we want to be there for the dying. We want to be there to support them. And if there is denial around the process of death, it can be exhausting, really, really exhausting. Whereas if there is curiosity and any kind of spiritual connection with death, it's so much easier. These are the kind of conversations I've been having with people at tarot readings, kind of deep. So this can be a really, really big card. And if this card does come up with death or other tens or things like that. So remember, this is also a 10. We are definitely linked to the 10 card, because this 10, right? Usually the Roman numerals of 10, we have 2 X's. I'm hoping that I have the wheel card here. Yes, I do, right here. So we can't deny. We have to really think about how the wheel is turning in that Judgment card, and acknowledge that the wheel is turning. We cannot prevent the wheel from turning. So you can also think of Judgment as 10 plus 10. The wheel is turning two rotations, right? It's a big shift. So the wheel is shifting 180 degrees. And 180 degrees means you are going in the opposite direction. And you could have a glimpse of that and know what's there, and choose perhaps to turn around and stay. But I bet that doesn't feel very comfortable. So those are a few thoughts. Now let's look at some other decks and how they approach that. I still want to find Temperance and Sasrabito, but we'll see if I can get to that. Okay, so let's go to this lovely deck here. Okay, 14 Balance. This is the Wildwood Tarot. So in the Wildwood Tarot, for the Balance card, we see what looks a lot like the Caduceus. We see the red dragon, gray dragon, or blue dragon winding around the birch tree. There's also the green man here. There's the face in the tree. And there's just this incredible connection. They are stronger together. They're inextricably linked. We cannot separate them. And a lot of time in our exploration of spirituality, I feel like we get focused on the goddess, or we get focused on something in our spirituality. We get single-mindedly focused, but we can't separate Shiva from Shakti. One cannot exist without the other, right? The all that is manifest is here because of all that is unmanifest, and that is the highest frequency of the divine masculine and feminine. And so this is a beautiful interpretation we see here with the two dragons. Now this card, as I was saying, in the 777, in that pattern, that analysis, that analytic way of looking at the tarot. So balance that's Chariot, right? Yes, so challenge, they are above each other. How I'm going to do this. So the Chariot card is the Archer. And the Archer is about focus. It's about choosing to move forward. And so again, there's this there's this underlying energy of, there's a, don't forget that in the Temperance card, while it looks still, there's a bit of a push, right? Spirit is urging us to find that. But what I wanted to share with you was the card that is above, uh, Judgment is the Lover's card. And when you look at these two cards in this deck, it just makes so much sense how this whole, these four cards are, we can't separate these four cards. The 20th card in the Wildwood Tarot takes us into an abyss of sorts. So the Great Bear, look at the Northern Lights behind this, is such a gorgeous card. The Great Bear invites us into this tomb. And it's in this tomb, in the cold and the quiet of the tomb, that we listen, and we receive wisdom, and we have an opportunity to decide whether we're going to walk through to the other side or we're going to turn around and come out. So this tomb has an opening on either side. There's a beautiful meditation in, I believe, Wild. There's actually 3 guidebooks that go with this particular tarot deck. And in Wild Magic, I think it's called, that's where the meditation is for this card. So the Great Bear is not scary. The Great Bear is there to protect us while we are in meditation, while we are in silence. The Great Bear will protect us from the external world. So there's something about this Judgment card that it gives us opportunity for a pause. We always have a choice. We always have a choice. Let's look at the Wildwood Tarot. This one, sorry, the Wild Unknown. I almost bought another copy of this yesterday. Did you know that new version of this deck has a colored Justice card? You can look at it on Kim's website. It's quite something. Okay. And then that would give me an excuse to color this deck. I've always wanted to take on that project. Okay, so what was I saying? The Great Bear invites us in. There's protection. I think part of understanding the Judgment card is to understand that there is a level of protection in this card. We aren't alone. You know, if we walk through the portal, we're not alone. We will be protected. We'll be protected by spirit. We'll be protected by energy. Okay. And we see symbolically the dove, the angel, the Great Bear, and in the Sasaribito, that cloak, you know, where's that cloak? That cloak is, just because we take it off doesn't mean that we can't put it on again if we're feeling cold or we need some comfort. We just need to have the courage to let it go. You know, I'm thinking of the Slow Tarot. Do you know the Slow Tarot where she's looking into the mirror? And you can go to the website for the Slow Tarot. It takes you to the art gallery that has all of the original art for the deck. And in the Slow Tarot, a naked woman is looking into a mirror. Not only does she look differently in the mirror, but there is a opening in her heart. There's almost like a wound in her heart. And so in this card, she sees into her own heart. She sees into her own being. And so what I'm saying here is in releasing the cloak, in unpacking the cloak, and unwrapping these layers, these protective layers that we've been keeping on out of fear, we see ourselves in a new way. We invite in vulnerability. We invite in vulnerability. And I think that's an important part of this thing. Okay. In the World Unknown Temperance card, we see the flames here that are in the water, right? So we see this balance. So this just makes me think of Muriel as well too. We see the wisdom here of the bird. There's also tears that are coming down, and this makes me think of phoenix tears. This doesn't quite look like a phoenix to me, but there's so much in this temperance card. The tears are part of the flame, and the flame is part of the tears. And the tears do not put out the flame. The flame invigorates the water. And there's this also a level of protection from this bird. And whether it's a crane or a stork or whatever it is, you could also go into that medicine. And that's what I was saying about the different angels in these cards. You also can pull out particular, like I believe that Iris, the mythology of Iris, is connected with temperance. You often see irises in this deck as well, and the angels connected with the mythology of Iris, and so you can build in those layers as well too. Okay. Now, I am still looking through Sasra Vito because now I'm super curious about why I can't find this card. I have actually lost a couple of cards from some decks, and I'm going to have to repurchase, which is unfortunate. There we go. There's Temperance. Oh, yes. Oh, this is such a beautiful conversation. Let's do this. Okay. Notice how we have blue and red. Isn't that cool? Blue and red. And in the Temperance card in this deck, we see there is red or brown inside this cup, and we see the blue energy of this. Now, I want to go to mostly Hindu mythology, yogic teachings, and so forth. And we often see a lot of blue bodies, right? And so in temperance, the blue represents toxicity, poison. And the reason that sometimes Vishnu, Krishna, there's different ones that are blue is because they have taken on the poisons of the world. And because of their high frequency, they are able to transmute and to process those poisons, right? That blue color is to remind us of their sacrifice. It's a lot like the Christ story. And this in a subtle way kind of speaks to that. And we have this really interesting relationship between the red cloak and the blue skin. And so should these two cards come up together, they make such a beautiful story. Let's go to Joel's comment here. So would the judgment be like an encouragement to follow what your inner calling is? Yes. And also saying it's okay to go back and change direction if the calling changes. We always have that choice, but I feel that with the judgment card, there is especially if there's a lot of wands that show up in the reading, we don't need to. The invitation is to go forward and to leave that, to put that cloak down. And if the Fool shows up here, that's another emphatic big yes to moving forward. Think about these four cards again. So Chariot is about temperance, urging us on. And if we lay these four cards out in a square, then the Chariot is at an angle to Judgment, right? So that Chariot energy is pushing us forward. Let's just lay out four cards instead of talking about it. So let's move those two and then do this. I will see if I can. Sometimes when I do this when I'm seated, it does weird things, like hops around. Okay. So the Lovers is above Judgment. And this is when you look at the cards 777. The top row is Magician to Chariot. And the second row is, depending on how you look at it, Strength to Temperance. And then the third row is Devil to World. And each of these layers represent a different, our relationship with consciousness, among many other things. So what I'm saying here is these four cards have this pretty amazing relationship and conversation among them. So not only does the Chariot remind us that in Temperance, this invitation to a more active awareness of balance is crucial to moving forward, but also this Chariot energy is an aspect of giving us the courage and the little nudge that we need to embrace the revelation, that the potential aha moment that is on the other side of Judgment. And perhaps it's right there. We just need to listen. We just need to listen. And so that's why in this card, we go into the tune, right? We go into this quiet place to listen. And so in listening, we choose. We choose. In listening, we choose. And we have the right to choose, right? To go left or to go right. Or to go, wherever we want to go. And Hannah's exactly right. Following the inner calling is always moving forward, even if we change direction, of course. But the important part is the listening part, the quiet part. And so we need to create the quiet in that. So I encourage you to pull out these four cards and to look at the relationship and the energy. Balance goes there. 7. To see what you can find. And then of course, this one as well too. Sorry, I'm losing my voice. So we need to look at the 10s and the aces. What kind of aces are showing up in your reading as well too. So lots and lots of food for thought. Let me know if you want to kind of take this to the next level. But next week, I'm also going to talk about judgment. I believe in relationship to justice. So just have a look at the thumbnail for next week, and then we can prepare your questions and start to do maybe some particular inquiries into this. Like I said, you can intentionally pull one card and go, what does this mean for me? Or if it shows up in a reading, right, then you take that and you can pull a card of clarity and so forth. So, all right. Hello, Nora. Nice to see you here. So take good care of yourselves. I hope to see some of you at 12. I'll be back doing some readings with the Celtic Cross. And again, I won't be doing as many readings today, but this is also for you readers who either have moved away from this traditional spread, and I just want to share with you some other other insights as well too into interpreting it. And I'm going to do this over 2 weeks, this Tuesday as well as next Tuesday. So I hope to see some of you then. So thanks for joining me. And remember to continue to add your requests and questions. Either send me an email, or once I sign off, then you can comment below. Thank you very much. Namaste.